What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some news in the form of This Week at Bungie. And so for the weekly Destiny 2 update, they initially recap some of the conversation about economy, vendors, and reward changes this week. They also talk a little bit more about the recent rollback, as Bungie had to take the game down and fix an issue where triumphs were disappearing. And then moving on, they talk about Festival of the Lost for this year, and specifically the new armor sets they're going to be featuring. We'll once again be able to vote for the armor set, but there will be class-specific voting, so we'll talk about that, as well as some changes they have planned for next week, including adjustments to deep sight weapons for the season, some changes for Iron Banner, and some warnings for the end of this season. So, as always guys, I hope you enjoy this one, and if you do, a rating below really helps us out. But without further delay, let's get into it. And initially they say happy Twabs Day Guardians, we're talking about creepy crawlies, what's wrapping up at the end of the season, and a note on yesterday's downtime. But similar to last week, we had another blog post go live yesterday, sharing some economy updates and more changes coming in Lightfall. And of course they spoke about Umbral Engrams, Ada 1's future, Vanguard and Nightfall focusing costs, and then Legacy focusing and match rewards. We discussed that in a video today as well, so I'll link that down below. And here they speak about yesterday's Triumphs fix and rollback. So they say shortly after the release of hotfix 6305, we had reports that many Triumphs, seals, and catalysts were missing. We discovered that the issue was caused when some currently incompletable EDZ and Nessus Triumphs were moved from Forsaken into the Archive Triumphs section. To make that change, we used a tool that can move player state from one location to another in the player's account. This tool is very powerful but requires careful and cautious handling, and due to a configuration error, we accidentally reran an older state migration process used for the Beyond Light release. And as a result, we ended up recopying old data from before Beyond Light into the current configuration, essentially undoing certain aspects of player progression since then. Once we identified the issue, we took the game down and rolled back the player database while we investigated how to remove the dangerous change from the build. And last night we constructed a patch for 6305 that removed the specific change that was causing the issue, and deployed it to go live. And so as a result of the fix, all player accounts had to be rolled back to 8:20 AM PST on January 24th, and that means that any progress made between 8:20 and 11 AM was lost, and all purchases refunded. That includes things like silver purchases, so an extra insight right there from Bungie as to how it happened. And of course the result of that, it's positive that Bungie did manage to get the fix within a day. And so that's that, but next Bungie say it's a creepy crawly life. And it's that time of the year where we get to vote on our Festival of the Lost Armor themes. Make sure you keep reading though, because we did change things up a bit this year. And to get into the changes specifically, in past years 2 Festival of the Lost Armor themes were developed, and then voting occurred at the theme level, and voting was aggregated across classes. But in 2023, one of the big changes we're making to voting is making voting class specific. Last year voting was very close, but it wasn't consistent across classes. And to help make sure each class gets the armor set they're most excited about, we decided to let each class vote individually rather than bucketing armor sets together. To address some of the logistical issues with that approach, we're trying something a little different with concepts. Instead of making 2 themes, we've chosen creepy crawlies as this year's theme. But you'll be voting on 2 different interpretations, a spooky spider style or a bone-chilling beetle style. And so if Titans want to live the arachnid life and hunters can't live without glowing wings, everybody wins. And so the 2 sets right here are pretty cool. We got the spiders initially, and it translates as almost kind of hive there. And then secondarily we have the beetles. Let us know what you think down below. I think I'm a big fan of the spiders personally, but Bungie say how you vote is changing a bit as well. And if you signed up for emails via your Bungie account, you'll receive an email allowing you to vote for your primary class. For example, if you're a Hunter main, you'll receive a Hunter email. And we know a lot of you play more than one class, and others haven't been able to receive our emails for one reason or another. If you're in one of those 2 groups, we have a solution as well, and we'll have a separate voting link where you can submit your votes for a secondary class, or a primary if you didn't get the email, and these votes will be blended into the same pool as the others. And they finally say, lastly, these are draft concepts. While we don't plan on changing them, we reserve the right to do so. We're saying this because if our art team comes up with an awesome way to make them even cooler, we want the flexibility to make those changes. And so let us know down below which sets you'll be voting for your different classes. And of course, we can look forward to finally getting our hands on that armor when Festival of the Lost launches in October later on this year. Up next though, they say there will be some upcoming Destiny content changes, and next week they're planning to deploy some new updates to help everyone complete their collections this season. So initially for weekly deep sight red border weapons, they'll be adjusting the daily availability for focusing at the helm for the remainder of the season to help players craft those final weapons before Lightfall arrives. This will also apply to vendors offering guaranteed deep sight weapon focusing from seasons 16 to 18. And so daily ability for weapon focusing will be cool, but additionally, as a reminder, Iron Banner reputation gains will be increased in several ways when Fortress returns on January 31st. Of course, that will be next week, and these include an increase to base reputation earned per match, an increased multiplier contribution from wearing Iron Banner gear, and an increase to the multiplier from equipping an Iron Banner emblem. So let us know if you'll be diving into the Iron Banner to try and wrap some stuff up next week. And lastly here, they say Season of the Seraph ends soon, with Year 5 ending on February 28th. Now's a great time for players to redeem any Bungie rewards retiring at the end of the season. And there's a link there for a full list of Bungie rewards that will be expiring on the 28th of February, so that'll be found in the TWAB, which is linked below. And in terms of wrapping up some triumphs and seals before the end of the season, they say Moments of Triumph 2022 t-shirt, the title, and the patch, as well as the Crisis inverted pin, the Seraph seal collectible medallion pin, and Wanted seal collectible medallion pin, will of course no longer be accessible after the 28th of February. The final thing to mention separate from the TWAB, but Destiny 2 team on Twitter said we wanted to take a moment to clarify some confusion we're seeing regarding legacy focusing, specifically with Trials Adept drops. Any weapon or armor piece not in the legacy focusing pool will still require the player to have unlocked that item through gameplay before it can be focused. So they're clarifying that those rewards will still have to be earned in the traditional ways initially. Much like any of the other focusing options they discussed yesterday, the pieces of gear do have to have been earned organically before they're able to be focused at vendors, so just bear that in mind. And so there we go guys, that wraps up the TWAB this week. A couple of insights and of course that reveal for the festival armor. Very much looking forward to seeing that stuff in the game and of course to see how the voting goes. That'll be rolling out in the coming weeks, so once again, give us your thoughts down in the comment section. But if you've enjoyed the video today, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. And also feel free to get subscribed to the channel and hit the bell icon to get notifications for new content. There'll be a lot of information rolling out in the next month or so before Lightfall releases. We'll be covering all of that here, as well as the expansion itself. But otherwise, guys, as always, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.